Donald Trump is not just America first at this point. He is America first right now, every day. On Friday, Rick Grenell, special envoy to the president, traveled to Venezuela and came back with 6 U.S. hostages. Did you know that U.S. citizens were being held hostage in Venezuela? I'll be honest, I did not, and that's probably because the infants running the government 15 days ago never mentioned anything about U.S. citizens being held hostage in Venezuela. Donald Trump is president, and they are now home. On Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in Panama, and the Panamanian government immediately promised to end a deal with China over control of the Panama Canal. 5,609 Americans, at least, that we know about, died building that canal 100 years ago. The Chinese had nothing to do with it then. They shouldn't have anything to do with it now. Donald Trump is president. Panama will now work with us, not the Chinese. On Saturday, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited the southern border, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was there today with border czar Tom Homan, visiting the 10,000 U.S. troops now stationed along both the southern and northern border. This is video of what the border looked like under Joe Biden not that long ago. Take a look at that. 4 years of that. And this is video of what the southern border looks like today under Donald Trump. Take a look. There it is. Do you have any questions? That is what illegals now see before they jump into the Rio Grande River and swim across. Donald Trump is president now, and the border is officially closed. And as a result, border crossings are down 93% since Joe Biden left office, and over 7,000 criminal illegal aliens have been arrested. The number goes up every day. Yet in Oxnard, California, not far from Los Angeles, students there seem a little confused about what it is they're protesting. You can see them there. They're waving Mexican flags on U.S. soil while burning American flags, meaning they are burning the flag of the country that they want illegal aliens to live in while waving the flag of the country that the illegal aliens just left. I think these students are a little confused. That's very odd. And it wasn't much better right down the road on the 101. Protesters blocking traffic for hours over the weekend, holding up signs that said nobody is illegal and Viva Mexico.
Crazy. I already know what's going on.
All right, so a couple things here. Nobody is illegal is the exact opposite of the truth, according to several really good laws we have here in the U.S. Every single person that broke into the country under Joe Biden is by definition illegal. And again, Viva Mexico translates to long live Mexico. If you all like Mexico so much, by all means, why don't you take your protest south by about 200 miles? I'm sure they'd love it down there in Juarez. Your protest makes no sense. And finally today, J.D. Vance, the former Ohio senator, went to East Palestine, Ohio, on the second anniversary of that toxic train derailment to let the people there know that they're not forgotten.
The president loves this community. Of course, he visited himself personally. And President Trump just wanted to deliver a message that this community will not be forgotten, will not be left behind, and we are in it for the long haul in East Palestine.
So it took Joe Biden more than a year to get to East Palestine, and he only went there after Donald Trump went there. And he was doing it because he was running for president. Again, Donald Trump is president now, and America now comes first every single day. So to recap, Rick Grenell was in Venezuela, brought back 6 U.S. hostages. Marco Rubio was in Panama. Kristi Noem was at the border. Pete Hegseth was at the border. J.D. Vance was in East Palestine today, and Donald Trump everywhere all at once. CBS News out with a poll this weekend. The question they asked, are you optimistic about the next 4 years under Donald Trump? The results, not what they were expecting. 67% of people 18 to 29 years old said yes. 61% of people 30 to 64 years old said yes. So with all that good news, I wanted to check in and see how things were going on the other side of the aisle. Take a look.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
He says avocados very oddly, and I guarantee you that Chuck is not watching the game on Sunday. Never mind that Chuck never once mentioned guac prices under Joe Biden. Never mind that there was an avocado shortage this summer under Joe Biden. Never mind that Chuck's not much of a gourmet around the old BBQ. Remember this photo that he posted on Father's Day? Take a look closely there. That's raw meat with cheese on top. Chuck, you don't cook a burger like that. Chuck also doesn't realize that people aren't really drinking Corona in February, certainly not in Kansas City. High temperature there today, 22 degrees, Philadelphia, 34 degrees. People drink to the climate, generally speaking, and guess what? If the prices for Corona are high, which they will not be, people will just buy something else. Chuck is also failing to mention that the trade war, that's not happening after all, we'll get to that in a moment, will stop deadly fentanyl from crossing the border on a daily basis. But Chuck would rather that we worry about avocado prices and guac for the big game that he won't be watching on Sunday. So, Democrats hosted their convention this weekend to elect a new national committee chairman, and it was a real nail-biter. A lot of really strong candidates, and it all began with Dr. Quintessessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair, and I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on.
You only had 30 seconds to convince that audience to vote for you to be the next chairman of the Democratic National Committee, and she's saying you fight on. Quintessessa did not get that job, but the outgoing chairman, Jamie Harrison, made it crystal clear exactly what they're looking for. Take a look.
Our rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender.
Jamie, you got to change those rules, Jamie. I'm so glad Jamie cleared that all up for us. In order to be gender balanced, we must have 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. That's going to be the epitaph on the Democratic Party headstone one day. And Jamie, that right there is why your party lost the election. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. The New York Times out with a poll this weekend confirming what we already knew, that the Democratic Party is in the wilderness. They are lost right now, even with their own voters. Here's the quote. Americans say they do not believe the Democratic Party is focused on the economic issues that matter most to them and are instead placing too much emphasis on social issues. Asked to identify the Democratic Party's most important priorities, Americans said abortion, LGBTQ plus rights, and climate change. And that confusion has now spilled over onto the TV screen with a very, very confused legacy media.
You want to authorize purging of State Department personnel? What does that mean exactly?
Well, if you want to take a look at the State Department, where DEI has been a priority over, let's say, diplomacy in many accounts, I could give you hundreds of examples of where they were authorizing.
What proof do you have of that?
Sure, let's list them off. $500,000 to expand atheism in Nepal, $50,000 to do, let's see, a transgender opera in Colombia, $47,000 to do an LGBTQ trans comic book in Peru, $20,000 a pop to do drag shows in Ecuador. Shall I continue with more examples of where DEI was the priority? It
certainly seems like there could be a review of things. Foreign aid, as you know, is less than 1% of the entire federal budget. So we're talking small amounts of money by comparison.
Small amounts of money by comparison. Margaret Brennan says that foreign aid accounts for less than 1% of the entire U.S. budget. And she says that like it's a good thing. Well, Margaret, let's take just a quick Ganderwitz at that. In 2024, the total U.S. budget was $6.9 trillion. 1% of that, approximately $69 billion. That seems like a whole lot of money to spend. And I wonder what the woke Biden administration was spending all that money on. Wouldn't you know it, Caroline Levitt went through that line by line today.
These are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either.
In 2023, the Biden administration spent almost $5 million on gay pride parades and drag shows in foreign countries. And Democrats wonder why they lost in November. Well, Republicans can be found everywhere all at once doing what is exactly right for the American people. That is the focus of the Democrat Party.